Have you ever noticed how one single negative thought can hijack your entire day? You wake up feeling fine, but then a little voice whispers, "You're already behind." And suddenly your mood shifts. Or maybe you make a small mistake at work and before you even realize it, your brain starts spiraling. "I always mess things up. I'll never get this right. What's wrong with me?" That one moment snowballs until you feel drained, stuck, and completely disconnected from your best self. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Every single one of us has an inner critic, and for most people, that voice runs on autopilot, firing off harsh commentary we didn't ask for and don't deserve. But what if I told you there's a way to catch that thought mid-flight and flip it in seconds, so it no longer poisons your mood but actually fuels your strength? That's what we're going to uncover right now. The first thing you need to know is this: negative thoughts are not the enemy. They are signals. Your brain evolved to scan for danger, to notice risks before opportunities, to protect you by preparing for what could go wrong. The problem isn't that the thought appears. The problem is that we believe it at face value. We fuse with it as if it's a final verdict on who we are. The secret is not to fight these thoughts or suppress them. That only makes them stronger. The secret is to flip them. And when I say flip, I don't mean forcing fake positivity or chanting affirmations you don't believe. I mean taking that thought, holding it in your mental hand, and twisting it just enough that its energy transforms. Instead of an attack, it becomes information. Instead of a weight, it becomes fuel. Here's the framework I want you to remember. Catch, flip, anchor. 3 simple steps. That's it. This is the model that will free you from spiraling self-criticism. Let's go deep into each step, because when you really feel how this works, you'll never look at your inner critic the same way again. Step 1 is catch. You cannot flip a thought you don't notice. Most negative spirals run beneath the surface, disguised as your own voice, so you don't even see them happening until your mood crashes. Catching means developing a small, almost playful awareness habit. The moment you feel a dip in your energy or a tightening in your chest, pause and ask, "What exactly did my mind just say?" Put it into words. For example, you might notice, "I'll never finish this project on time," or "I sounded stupid in that conversation," or even, "I'm not good enough." Simply putting the thought into a sentence separates you from it. You stop being the thought, and instead you're the observer noticing the thought. This tiny move is powerful. It's like shining a flashlight on a shadow. The monster shrinks as soon as it's seen. Now comes step 2, flip. This is where the magic happens. Once you've caught the thought, you ask one very simple question. What else could this mean? That question alone opens a door in your brain. Let's say your thought was, "I always mess things up." Instead of wrestling with it, you flip it by reframing. "I noticed a mistake, which means I'm paying attention and I can fix it." Do you see the shift? The original thought was a dead end, a self-attack. The flipped thought is empowering. It turns the same event into proof that you're engaged and capable of learning. Or let's take the thought, "I sounded stupid." Flip, "I spoke up, which means I had the courage to contribute." You don't erase the event, you simply shift the lens through which you see it. And neuroscience backs this up. Studies on cognitive reappraisal show that when we reinterpret the meaning of an event, our emotional response changes instantly, even at the level of brain activity. You are literally rewiring your experience in real time. Now I can already hear the skeptic in your head. But what if the negative thought is true? What if I really did mess up? And here's the key. Flipping doesn't deny reality. It's not about saying everything is perfect when it's not. It's about widening reality. Yes, you made a mistake, but that's not the whole story. The flip finds the angle of truth that's useful. Because every single thought can be reframed into something that moves you forward. Think of it like judo. Instead of fighting the energy head-on, you redirect it. The thought came with force. Use that force to your advantage. But here's the thing. If you stop after the flip, the effect can fade. That's why we need step 3, anchor. Anchoring means grounding the flipped thought into your body and your memory, so it doesn't just float away as an idea. The simplest way to do this is to speak the flipped thought out loud, or at least mouth it to yourself. When you give the new frame a voice, it becomes more real. Another powerful anchor is a physical gesture. Maybe you snap your fingers, touch your chest, or clench your fist lightly as you affirm the new meaning. That physical action tells your nervous system, this is the new script. Over time, your brain starts to associate the flip with the anchor, and it becomes second nature. You won't even need to force it. The flip will happen automatically, just like negative spirals once did. Let's walk through a concrete example. Imagine you're in a meeting. You share an idea and nobody reacts. Instantly your brain says, "They think I'm dumb." That's the catch, you hear it. Then you flip. Or maybe they're processing. Or maybe I planted a seed that will spark later. Finally you anchor. You straighten your posture and repeat silently, "I had the courage to share." What happens? Instead of shrinking into silence for the rest of the meeting, you stay engaged, confident, and open. Same external event, completely different internal outcome, all because of the flip. And here's the deeper truth. The negative thought isn't really about the event. It's about your identity. Your inner critic wants to reduce you to a single flaw, but the flip restores your wholeness. It reminds you that you are not your worst moment. You are the meaning you choose to give it. And when you practice catch, flip, anchor, you're not just silencing negative thoughts. You're rewiring your relationship with yourself. You're teaching your brain that your worth is not up for debate. Now, let's anticipate another trap. What if the negative thoughts keep coming back? That's normal. Your brain has practiced these scripts for years. You don't need to eliminate them. You just need to catch and flip them each time, like brushing your teeth. You don't get upset that plaque keeps forming. You just brush again. The practice itself builds strength. And slowly, the volume of your inner critic lowers, while the voice of your inner coach grows louder. This is not about perfection. It's about repetition. Each flip is a rep at the mental gym, and every rep makes you stronger. Notice something. The flip doesn't require hours of journaling, meditation, or therapy sessions. It takes seconds. One thought, one question, one anchor, and yet the payoff is huge. Less anxiety, more confidence, more energy, more freedom to show up as your best self. That's the power of disproportionate return, tiny action, massive impact. And the beauty is, you can start right now with the very next negative thought that appears. Instead of letting it run the show, you catch it, flip it, and anchor it. 3 steps, endless possibilities. I want you to imagine how your life changes if you do this consistently. Think about the last time you beat yourself up over something small. What if, in that moment, you had flipped the script? What if instead of "I can't do this," you thought, "This is stretching me, which means I'm growing"? How would that have changed the way you felt, the way you acted, the way you showed up the rest of the day? Now imagine that happening not once, but dozens of times until it becomes automatic. That's the future waiting for you. The future where your inner critic no longer controls you, but instead, every thought becomes a chance to rise. And let me share something important. The very fact that you're here, listening to this, already proves something powerful about you. It proves that you're aware of your mind, that you care enough to notice, and that you're willing to learn how to work with it. Most people spend their entire lives swallowed by their inner critic without ever questioning it. The moment you step back and say, "Wait, maybe I don't have to accept every thought as truth," you've already taken the first and most difficult step. That's why this flip is so liberating. It hands you the steering wheel back. Your thoughts may knock on the door, but you decide which ones enter and which ones transform. Think about it. What's the cost of not flipping these thoughts? How many opportunities have you turned down because you told yourself you weren't ready? How many conversations have you replayed in your head for hours, draining your energy, when in reality the other person had already moved on? How many nights have you lost to rumination, running the same sentence in your mind like a broken record? If you add it all up, the cost is enormous. Lost time, lost energy, lost joy. But the good news is, you don't need to erase your past or wait for some perfect future. You can interrupt that loop the very next time it starts. You can take one of those old self-criticisms and flip it into a spark of growth. And when you do that once, you'll want to do it again. That's how momentum builds. Now let's dive into why this flip works so effectively on a psychological level. Your brain doesn't respond to reality directly. It responds to interpretation. When something happens, it doesn't come with a label. You supply the label consciously or unconsciously. If you label it as failure, your brain triggers stress chemistry, cortisol, adrenaline, the whole alarm system. But if you label it as feedback or evidence of growth, your brain activates entirely different circuits, releasing dopamine and motivating you to move forward. The external event hasn't changed at all. The label changed, and that changed everything. This is why catch, flip, anchor is not just a motivational trick. It's grounded in how your nervous system actually works. You're taking back authorship over the labels your brain slaps on events. There's another deeper layer to this. Every time you flip a thought, you're reinforcing a new identity. The identity of someone who chooses meaning, not someone trapped by it. Because identity is nothing more than repeated self-statements. If your thoughts tell you, "I'm clumsy, I'm lazy, I'm not good enough," and you accept that script day after day, That becomes your identity. But if you flip those same thoughts, I'm learning coordination, I'm conserving energy until I act, I'm growing into competence, you build a completely different sense of self. Over time, those flips accumulate into confidence that doesn't depend on perfect performance. It depends on the meaning you assign. And that kind of confidence is unshakable. Of course, you might wonder, what if I forget to do it? What if I only remember after the spiral has already dragged me down? That's okay. In fact, that's normal. The spiral itself can become a reminder. The moment you realize, I've been caught in my thoughts, that realization itself is a catch. You can flip right there, even if the spiral has been running for minutes or hours. Think of it like waking from a dream. You don't blame yourself for dreaming, you just notice you're awake now. So don't beat yourself up for missing a chance to flip. Every recognition is an opportunity to practice. And the more you practice, the faster your awareness kicks in. Eventually, the time between the negative thought and the flip shrinks to seconds, and the spiral barely begins before it dissolves. Let's try one together, right now. Bring to mind a recent negative thought you had about yourself. Maybe it was about your appearance, your work, your relationships. Hear that sentence in your mind. Now pause, catch it. There it is, on the table in front of you. Now ask the flip question. What else could this mean? Don't settle for the first answer. Play with it. Twist it until you find the version that gives you strength. Anchor it. Say it out loud if you can, or whisper it under your breath and feel your body respond. Notice the shift in your chest, in your shoulders, in your breathing. That's the power of the flip. It's not abstract, it's visceral. It changes how you feel in this very moment. The truth is, your inner critic will always try to speak. But you are not the voice, you are the one who hears it. And as the one who hears, you have the authority to flip it. Imagine your critic as a misguided coach who yells, "You'll fail." Instead of arguing, you flip. That means I'm stretching into new territory. Suddenly, the critic's energy fuels you instead of stopping you. What once felt like a prison becomes a source of strength. That's the transformation waiting for you every single day. And here's the final insight I want to leave you with. Silence doesn't mean the absence of thoughts. It means the absence of their power over you. You don't need to eliminate negativity. You just need to master the flip. Once you do, your critic's words lose their bite. They arrive, you catch them, you flip them, you anchor them, and you move on, lighter, freer, and stronger. This is a skill you can use in meetings, in relationships, in late-night overthinking sessions, in every area of life. It's portable, fast, and always available. You carry it with you because it lives in your mind, your body, your awareness. So here's my challenge to you. Today, catch just one negative thought. Don't try to fix them all, just one. Flip it using the question, what else could this mean? Anchor it with your voice or a small gesture, and then notice how different you feel. That single rep will prove to you that you are not at the mercy of your critic. You have the power to choose the script, and once you've done it once, you'll want to do it again. That's how the old cycle breaks and a new one begins. You've just learned how to silence negative thoughts with one simple flip. The next move is yours. Try it today, and let it show you what life feels like when your mind works for you, not against you. Because you deserve that freedom, and it starts the very moment you choose to flip.